There are a lot of people who believe there is no such thing as fair criticism. No matter how thorough an analysis is, it can never be objective since everything is just an opinion. Even if we assume it is so, it does not mean all opinions are of equal value. First of all, an opinion needs to make some sort of sense. You cannot say the sun is blue and demand this opinion to be respected as any other. It can be badly thought of, insufficient, misguided, or downright fallacious. Then it has to do with formulation. Opinions are not dogmas that must be accepted as a self-explanatory. If someone did a good job at explaining to the audience what he thinks about whatever he is talking about, we appreciate the effort in analysis. If a second person has a different opinion but doesn't sound as convincing as the first person, then the first opinion is considered to be the better expressed one. The thing is, not everyone is capable or even willing to evaluate opinions based on how intellectual they sound. Many go simply by emotions. They agree with the guy who sounds more relatable to how they feel instead of the guy who sounds pedantic and distant. This is why many can side with a simple opinion that is full of emotion compared to a complicating opinion that feels tiresome and dry. This second category often coincides with confirmation bias. Many people do not listen to what is better expressed, but rather to what is closer to what they are already feeling or believing in. By this logic, fair criticism is indeed worthless because nobody is actually listening to different opinions as much as he is agreeing with his own opinions. Meaning people are just siding with those who express the opinions of the listener instead of the speaker. It is very hard to make people listen to different opinions, and even harder to change their preconceptions about something. If someone is not willing to leave aside his confirmation bias and actually listen to a different point of view, then what's the point? The majority of people don't care or don't bother, which makes it feel like it's pointless to go against a public opinion and damaging not to repeat what everybody else is saying. Whatever the case may be, opinions are not facts. They are proposals on how to feel or act about something. They can be advices, estimates, recommendations, beliefs, but they can never be about a certainty. You can never be sure based on opinions. There can be many different opinions about any subject, and all you can do is choose one of them to represent you. Why are there many opinions to begin with? Because each one of them is using different criteria, and each criteria has a different value. The best way to judge opinions is to break them down to basic criteria and see how important each one of them is to you or the subject in question. And here is where you need critical thinking in order to do that. That's why they are called criteria. If you don't do that, you cannot claim you have thought about it. You are probably mimicking something you read or heard and accept it as it is. Remember, the point is not to have opinions that are 100% yours, but to be aware of why these opinions are the ones you accept and not any others. And even if you do that, what does any of that have to do with objectivity? None of them provides a certainty, so you will never get the ultimate truth. Even so, you will be getting closer to the truth the more you figure out how some criteria are better than some other. For example, the most basic advice in cinematography and storytelling is show, don't tell. Any series which shows more than it tells you is better in cinematography and storytelling than any series that does the opposite. By finding more of these criteria, you are slowly creating a formula that makes any work better, with any opinion closer to that formula also being closer to the most preferable option. Can it ever be 100% true so it can be called completely objective? No, but it can get pretty close to it. I understand that the perception of what counts as good or bad changes a lot in art or justice depending on the circumstances a society goes through. In the past, slavery was considered normal and gender equality was a joke. Realism was favored for many centuries until people got fed up with it and wanted something more abstract. When socio-political factors change, so does what the majority considers good or moral or beautiful. But that's the thing here, we keep talking as if it's the consensus of the majority that defines objectivity, when the criteria that make up opinions are never changing their meaning, no matter how many people use them. They are the same in all ages and all socio-political landscapes. Their importance changes, but not what they are about. It's like the difference between nouns and adjectives. A rock, for example, is what it is. The meaning of what a rock is never changed. The description of the rock, on the other hand, can change depending on personal preferences. Some can find it weird, and others can find it beautiful. Also, I really need to point out the unnecessary negative vibe the word opinionated has gained today. Having strong convictions does not always make someone closed-minded. It just means he has strong beliefs. For the same reason, calling someone biased is not something bad. Having an opinion is all about having a bias towards something. Even when you claim I have no bias, this statement alone proves that you do. No bias, no opinion. I would take that over someone who has no conviction in his claims and gives up very fast or ignores different opinions in the name of relativism. Relativism is cancer. If you can't defend your opinion, you don't really have one and you can't accuse others for having one. And just because you don't want a debate, don't make fun of those who want one. And yes, there is definitely a lot of negativity every time different opinions clash. There is bound to be a lot of drama, especially on the side that doesn't belong to the majority. Whatever the case may be, you become a better debater through all these clashes. You improve through trial and error, something that will not happen if you never try. That's why you need to defend your opinions and know how to express them properly.
That's just your opinion.
Has become the most overused excuse the relativists are using every time they want to refute a claim without putting any effort into it. It's a self-contradictory claim, since by definition it has no merit on an interpersonal level. When you say your claim is true for no one else but yourself, you are automatically proven wrong, because your claim is not limited to yourself. You're talking about someone else's claim. You're contradicting yourself every time you use it.
Well, if you don't like the show, then just don't watch the show.
I haven't read it, but I can say it's my favorite book ever.
Eureka 7. This might be a new golden age of anime. I personally have not watched Eureka 7. That is just fucking stunning.
That's just your opinion.
Is also a self-defeating excuse, since it can be countered by repeating the exact same excuse. If it's just my opinion and thus you can disregard it, your claim is also just your opinion and thus everybody can disregard it as well. In effect, you didn't say anything. I often get comments on my reviews by plebs who think they can get me down by saying nobody cares about what I have to say. And it's true that many times, regardless of what people think of a show, reality is completely different. A recent example is Keijo, which despite being hailed as a masterpiece by thousands of people, the anime bombed and caused the cancellation of the manga. This doesn't mean people's opinions never matter, because we are constantly seeing how a single opinion can become viral and change completely the perception of the majority. Whatever the case may be, saying nobody cares is a self-defeating claim. If you don't care, why did you bother to reply, thus proving at least one person cares?
And bam, you're good.
That's just your opinion.
Is also anti-intellectual, since it refuses all forms of dialogue and analysis. If the only thing that matters is what you make of it, then there is absolutely no reason to discuss it with others, or even bother to mention it. Everybody's simply going to be self-absorbed in their thoughts, never talking, never learning, never confirming if their train of thought even makes any sense. We might as well all be comatose. Let's talk about genes. We have a predisposition to certain things because we are compelled by our instinct, our hormones and nature in general. When we do something natural, it is considered to be normal and nobody minds it. It's when we do abnormal things that people call them great or awful. The thing is, pretty much everything can be excused that way, to the point any action becomes excused. For example, remember when I said the protagonist in Erased is a pedo and the fanboys excused it as, oh, that is just hormones, it's normal. Okay, then what about Makishima from Psycho-Pass, who is killing people because his instinct is telling him to kill people? He was born this way, why is he being blamed for something that is normal for him? And I know what you will say, well, if there is a law against it, what counts as normal does not count. There is no law against getting horny by children, but there is a law against murder. Okay, then let's move to another example, where things are not normal and instead are extreme. Running away from the police is illegal, but when the protagonist is doing it is excused because the fanboy said that his instinct told him to stay away from danger, that he wasn't thinking straight. But when a guy steals a chocolate bar and his whole life is ruined, that is also excused because stealing is illegal. All of a sudden, if the guy was hungry, didn't have any money and was not feeling right, it is no longer an excuse, even though hunger is a basic need. And don't tell me this is obviously stupid, because the fanboys defend even that one. So much for making sense by using laws.
That's just your opinion.
Is also the laziest way of masking discomfort by presenting it as disagreement. Did you notice how nobody uses it when he agrees with you? When you both agree, there is no problem, even though by definition, you should be stating the exact same excuse even when you do agree. No sir, identical opinions amongst several individuals is excluded from what is supposed to be a completely subjective statement. Double standards, anyone? Which brings us to Elfen Lied, the birthplace of urge in television. If you read this so-called review on Mal, it's not hard to deduct that the writer had no idea what the fuck he was talking about. I will focus on the part where everybody who loves this bullshit claims that it is morally ambiguous because Lucy is both good and evil. And by that we mean amnesia and split personalities that flip-flop anytime the plot finds it convenient because fuck you, logic. The issue is, everybody finds the Dikloni to be tragic characters because they are forced to kill for survival, and the rest of humanity is treating them badly. And nobody seems to comprehend the simple fact that they were specifically created to wipe out humanity, and that they will kill people because their instinct is compelling them to do it. They don't do it in order to survive, they do it because it is in their genes. These creatures want nothing else but to wipe out humanity just because. There is nothing ambiguous about it. But then again, they are presented as cute lollies that are being constantly victimized by one-dimensional assholes. Your brains blank out when you see that shit, don't you? It's not about knowing a lot anymore because you can't tell what is obviously right or wrong anymore. So my point is this: it's not normal because it's natural, it's acceptable because it is not illegal, immoral, and harmful at the same time. Finally,
That's just your opinion.
is the laziest way of denying criticism of something you said or did. Whatever you express in public can be criticized. It is not private and nobody needs your permission to talk about it. When I make fun of others, it cannot be refuted by saying I am making fun of their opinions. They made videos where they share their thoughts. It is no longer personal property. It is something that was made to be shared, discussed, analyzed, and criticized. Another excuse the fanboys of ReZero are using is how much tension there is in time resets, which is a complete contradiction with what time resets are all about. The ludicrous reasoning they are using is how we don't know if the protagonist will time reset or if he does, when he will respawn at. Let's clarify that up until episode 19, and at the time I am making this video, it was never established in series that there is a finite amount of respawns. It is only an assumption with nothing to back it up. The point he respawns at was also never inconvenient in his quest to save waifus. It always happens to be a moment that suits him the most. Thus, most of these excuses are based purely on the assumption that they might happen. Which is bullshit reasoning, since there is a possibility for everything. Subaru might time reset a million years into the past, or he might respawn on the moon. There is a possibility the planet will blow up, aliens will invade, and Son Goku will appear with orange hair. Just because the possibility exists does not mean there is tension. Also, by this bullshit reasoning, any series is full of tension because there is an infinite amount of things that might happen. There is tension in Arya because there is a possibility Godzilla will appear and demolish the whole city. It's so exciting to watch Fairy Tail because we never know if Natsu will save the day with the power of friendship again. And let's not forget how thrilling it is to see Ichigo defeat his next opponent. Maybe he will not be a half of something this time. And I know what the fanboys are going to say before they even think about it. They will say that these things actually happen in a later episode, and they know it because they have read the novel. I am wrong because this possibility turns out to be true. Even if it is so, where is the tension? If the fanboys know these things are going to happen, these statements are no longer possibilities, they are facts. Let me tell you what is really going on. The fanboys are only trying to sound surprised about a plot twist that has no foreshadowing to excuse it in series. They are so desperate for emotional response that go as far as pretending to be shocked about something that wasn't even hinted once. In other words, they are being phonies. But you know what? This proves why Subaru feels so real and relatable to so many anime fans. Because they are exactly like him. Bipolar otakus whose behavior changes every time they find out what will happen in the next episode because they were spoiled about future events. They mention completely inexcusable stuff for anyone following the anime since they were never established in series. That's how desperate they are for an affirmation of their terrible taste. Geez, there is so much tension in the first episode of Naruto, because you know there is a possibility he might not be an underdog, and is in fact the Messiah. And I totally do not say that because I've read the manga. It's so exciting to see Naruto possibly becoming Jesus, even though nothing implies he will. It is a possibility, and it's so thrilling. The internet is a place where everything can become a meme or a catchphrase. From the second you post something on online, it ceases to be private property. It is no longer your thoughts and opinions, it is just another entry in the public domain. Nobody hacked into your computer to get it, or broke into your house to steal it. It was just something he found as a virtual copy online, made a personal copy for himself, and expressed his opinion about it. If you didn't want that to happen, you shouldn't have posted it online in the first place. You should have kept it to yourself instead of sharing it. Nobody can complain about being quoted because you are not the one ridiculing them. It's what they personally said or did, and then cry like little babies instead of justifying their claims properly.
I've had a thing with Mother's Basement's girlfriend 10 lead, calling your girlfriend a cuck. I do a lot of criticism of Digibro's work. I've definitely been unnecessarily provocative towards Conrad. The things that I've said about all these people have been justified and are just criticism because of school stuff, and I was broke and I live on the other side of the country. But I am going to be a teacher next year, and it is all too easy for high schoolers to find it. The clickbait title like top 10 hottest anime boobies. Oh, Miss likes big ol' anime titties? You're fired and like your reputation is ruined across the country? I need to apologize for my very bad internet behavior. I have built a really bad relationship and a really bad reputation with a lot of these people, and I really regret it. And I want to continue to apologize for. If someone finds my channel, I need to make sure that I have enough backup to not get fired and to not get heavily criticized, to not ruin or screw with the rep of the school I'm in or my classroom. Like, it's just really important because it's my career and YouTube is not my career. Oh no, the otaku chick, who's that? I'm this new chick on the block. We look the same, but it's just a coincidence. So I have and will continue to apologize for that.
One of my biggest inspirations as a writer
What's next? You write your own book?
is a book series called Boogie Pop
And then you moved to K-On! Great development of your taste.
that I read back when I was a teenager.
Teenager? I was 7 when I drew my first comic book, and it was based on cartoons I was watching on television.
I don't think my tastes are that out of line with common people's.
Bullshit! If it's not sports, it's not popular.
I love Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, which is just about the most pop thing you could possibly imagine.
Who the fuck knows about FMA if it's not some guy watching animation? Not even American one.
The biggest reason people have difficulty growing
Their beard?
their channels
Oh, that.
is often because people don't see them as relatable. Someone like that anime snob,
Me?
he can never seem to grow is because he's so exclusionary. Doesn't invite people to partake in his opinions. He just says, this is what I feel and you all should agree with me or get out. And, you know, people can't relate to it. People don't understand his perspective.
Oh, they understand my perspective, they just don't want to accept it because they're man-children.
Whereas with someone like me, my popularity is entirely dependent on the fact that people do relate to me.
And the fact that there are more bronies than there are critical thinkers has absolutely nothing to do with it.
I could write stuff that's all boogie that I don't expect anybody to get, but I don't want to be that guy. No one would like what I do. When I go about creating things, I want people to like it. I like being popular. I like attracting people and inviting them to my art.
Man-whore!
My dad's standard for what is great songwriting is that it's accessible, that everyone loves it. It made the most money, it got the most ears, therefore it's the best. It's basically saying that being pop is being good.
Your dad is a total pleb!
Art, when it strives to be invitational, can bring in people from other perspectives, people who might not get it inherently, but you can make them get it.
And how will you do that?
If you look at any of the big YouTube channels, the like really big ones, their content is always the top 10 lists, the hottest girls in anime, people watching it because it's clickbait.
Oh, so that's how you bring people of different perspectives, okay.
Most of us are popular because we speak for a fairly large group of people.
And that's why so many are dick riding this bullshit.
I'm sure there's anime fans out there who feel like no one is speaking what they think, and they're just waiting for that one reviewer, or they are that one reviewer and no one watches them because no one else feels the way they do. You have to have some pop sensibility to even be a critic, but not Boogie, which will be anime snob who never breaks 10K at the absolute most.
What the hell? Promote my channel! Promote my channel and make him eat his own words! And let me tell you this. I could have just kept my old nickname and still be called Rorican Fan. I could have 1,000 times more subs if I was just making hentai reviews about lolly porn and shit, but I didn't. I evolved into that anime snob and I regret nothing about it. I am glad I did this change, unlike you, Digi bro. You had Boogie Bob Phantom and you moved to K-On. Fuck you.
A lot of people say that we should be accepting different opinions and understand how not everyone has the same taste as we do. But how can you do that when a lot of people have a completely wrong understanding of what a show is about?
My man Zero asking the right questions.
They are just drawings.
Look at this guy saying that he likes a shield hero because it's about never giving up and doing the best you can with those you have around you. Where the hell is that in the show? He gave up instantly after he was accused, and since nobody was willing to aid him in battle, he was enslaving innocent people with magic. The show is the exact opposite of what he likes.
She's a character that I grew very fond of.
It's a bunch of lines on a piece of paper.
And who can forget hero tards whose headcanons are so out of touch with reality? They go as far as changing completely the plot of the show in order to excuse the ridiculous power-up of the 6 new powers. All for One was never captured. All Might never managed to defeat him. He's still out there and he's the strongest of them all. So Deku needs the 6 more powers to take him down. You're in the wrong timeline, buddy.
Honestly, one of my favorite characters of this series just because of how her personality is.
It is a drawing that can be interpreted however the fuck you want to.
It really makes you wonder if most of whatever is considered divisive or controversial or polarizing does not come down to different opinions, but rather on headcanons, who are obviously going to create an uproar because they only exist in some bizarro world.
Stalker type vibe that Kami was giving off.
Yeah, you're literally sexually attracted to a drawing.
It also makes you wonder if the only reason there are so many different opinions is because very few want to debate and reach to a common conclusion. Such as in the case of Vic Magnana, who was fired with no evidence, and when people kept asking how was that allowed, the only response they got from the libtards was fake evidence, blocking and reporting anyone who didn't agree with the injustice, and forcing platforms such as Reddit to change its policy and no longer allow topics where people can discuss such horrible crimes.
I especially love the freaky facial expressions that Kami made.
It's a piece of paper!
No wonder there are still people with different opinions on the matter. When you're not allowed to talk about the issue, different opinions are mostly headcanons. They deliberately change the facts for supporting something that happens only in the minds of delusional people. Such as a shield-tards who think now Fumi is making friends and is not enslaving waifus for the money. Hero-tards who consider the 6 powers to be the only thing that can defeat a bad guy who has already been defeated. And liberals who keep saying you should be free to talk about anything you want to, and then block you and call their lawyers when you want to talk about their bullshit. I sometimes get comments that tell me I am leeching off content whenever I am commenting on people's commentary. I should instead have opinions of my own and leave everyone else with their own opinions. It's as if I am doing something wrong whenever I correct the bullshit people are saying, when it's in fact a big part of commentary in general. Everyone constantly comments on other people's commentary. If we are not creating something from scratch, we are only reacting to something else, and in this case, commenting on people's opinions. The specific thing I am doing is mitigating the damage caused by the spreading of misinformation and propaganda that leads to the degradation and eventual destruction of any fandom. Because if we are completely honest, 99% of commentary is not about facts. It's about speculation, it's about rumors, and it's about coping. People are not saying what is actually happening, they are saying what they feel should be happening. It is fan fiction, it is wishful thinking, and it is pandering towards an audience that constantly wants to be told what is consuming is amazing. If I am ruining people's fun by exposing the truth, it's only because people don't want to listen to facts and then get really angry when the virtual reality they have created has no relation to what is actually happening. That's what makes them toxic, that's why they attack others, and that's why fandoms get destroyed. Because they assume commentary is facts when it mostly ain't. It's people's opinions based on what they know, or more often what they want to be the truth. A follow-up commentary is only meant to expose the deception, or to confirm it ended up being true all along, which is what ends up happening with everything I say. In conclusion, follow-up commentary is not leeching off content, and it is not a bad thing to do. It is meant to help a fandom to realize its mistakes. There is time travel in Attack on Titan. Mushoku Tensei is not a redemption story, and Deku does not break the stereotype of boys don't cry. Also, the Quran is not perfectly preserved. If you don't like this course correction, the problem is not with me, it's with the fandom that thinks wishful thinking can replace reality.